See, basketball is tricky because there's a phrase in basketball, and you actively do a thing in basketball that makes reference to guns. They say shooters shoot the ball. I'm a phenomenal defensive.
You reaching,
but
you is reaching.
No, but Ja Morant is playing finger gun games again. The Grizzlies point guard, who I hope is a part of the NRA as hard as he advocates for the right to bear finger guns, pretended to shoot at the Warriors bench as the two teams headed to the sideline for a timeout. The look on Steph Curry's face said it all. It's like, this moron really doesn't get it. Samaria, why would Ja Morant still be pretending to shoot people after all that he's been through?
I'm not really sure, Rodney, and I feel like the last couple of
this is your guy. This is your guy.
We're going to talk about it. I feel like the last couple of instances, well, he had the first instance when he was in the club. That was on his live, right? The second instance, I feel like people gave him a little grace because he was on his homeboy's live, and the homeboy kind of tilted the camera a little bit, and he had the gun up. So I feel like some people gave him a little bit of grace, but he has just gone through so much. He had the incident where he fought a high school player at his home. He was cleared of all of those charges. And I think what's so sad about all of this, Rodney, is that Ja Morant had all of the intangibles of being the face of the NBA. Like, it was his for the taking. We were all excited to see what Ja was going to do any given night, right? He just reminded you so much of Derrick Rose pre-knee injury, and that excited a lot of people. And so I just don't know what is in his mind. If I'm Ja, I don't even want to think about a gun. Like, I don't even want to say the word gun, and let alone I'm not gonna, now video has come out to show that Buddy Hield was doing it first, right? And he but just like, why did you let them bait you? And then you got Draymond, like, see, look, like, they baited him so well. And I do hate that now it has come out that maybe the NBA is going to be investigating. I'm just like, Ja, just play basketball and go home. Why would you do that?
What do you think should be the penalty for using finger guns?
Okay, so I think that there has to be levels, right? Unfortunately, Ja has a history with real guns. So now they might penalize you for using a finger gun. But I feel like leagues are trying to really limit all of these violent things. Even what we just saw, the NFL, what was that, last week or 2 weeks ago, getting rid of the slime thing that CD does all the time. Like, we didn't even talk about that. But yeah, I mean, if Ja gets in trouble, I feel like, buddy, you got to get a game too. Because you started it, and y'all are doing this literally in the middle of a game during a timeout. Yeah. All cameras are on you. If the cameras didn't catch you, somebody in the stands is going to catch you. Ja got to know better at this point. He's.
But a first-time offender can't be penalized the same way a repeat offender is.
No, yeah.
But the thing is, see, basketball is tricky because there's a phrase in basketball, and you actively do a thing in basketball that makes reference to guns. They say shooters shoot the ball. I'm a phenomenal defensive.
You reaching,
but
you is reaching.
No, but seriously though, so like. When I was growing up, when we hit a three, sometimes like at the park, we play around and be like, boom! Like, that's a thing. I grew up Dewan Wagner, right? He was one of the greatest high school basketball players of all time. Anytime Dewan Wagner took a three, the whole crowd would be like, woo, boom! So there is like this shoot thing. There's this shoot culture.
That's different than in this instance, Rodney, where clearly they had been chirping a little bit, and he's over here like this, Buddy's like this, and then Ja's back at him. That's not the same as you cheering boom or whatever y'all was just doing.
We need a Gilbert Arenas intervention, and I feel like Gil in his wise old age, he's poised now. He's on ESPN now. I feel like Gil needs to like pull Ja to the side because of the experience that he had with a gun in that Wizards locker room. But I feel like somebody needs to intervene. It's so ironic because his father is always with him. And normally, the stereotype and the stigma is that it's young men without fathers who go so awry and astray. But that's not the case here. And I just cannot understand for the life of me how this young man who went to private school comes from a relatively, comes from a good family, 2-household family. I do not understand this man's obsession
He did not
with
go
guns.
to private school.
Ja did go to private school.
No, I think he
and
just
Clarence
went to a
has very good parents.
I think he just went to a nice public school. I don't think that it was private. But I will say, though, living in Memphis, that was something, or covering this Grizzlies team, that was something that was such a head scratcher for all of us because we couldn't understand why he kept putting himself in these situations. Why did he want to be this figure, right? Why did you want to
want to
be
use that
this?
word.
But I'm like, why do you want this gangsta persona when maybe that's not you, Ja? Like, and it's okay. It's okay because, and I think too, what's crazy for us when we were covering the team was that nobody was really hood like that on the Grizzlies team. You got like Jaren Jackson Jr., whose mom is like president of the WNBA Players Association. You got his dad who played in the league. Like, he has his own house, and I think that they really like monitor him. Like, you got Desmond Bain, you got, like, I'm not understand Tyus Jones.
Yeah, well, we need to have Tony Allen, Zach Randolph come back to Memphis and talk to the young fella.
They never left. They still live there.
And those are two actual gang members. So I don't understand.
Alleged. Wait a minute. Wait.
No, it's not alleged. They talk about it on their podcast openly. They're both from two different.
To this day?
Well, you're in a gang. You might not be a gang banger. You might be a gang member. Those are two very different things. And they talked about that. So there was, and I'll put it like this. So Zach Randolph was already on the team, and the GM of the Grizzlies wanted to bring in Tony Allen. And he called Tony Allen up for a meeting and was like, hey, Tony, we'd love to have you here in Memphis. But, I know Zach Randolph I think Zach Randolph's a vice lord, if I'm not mistaken. And Tony Allen has other affiliations. And he was like, is it going to be okay if I have you two guys in the same locker room? And Tony Allen was like, man, we professional basketball players, dog. Like, we do not care about that. So, yeah, I mean, there's always been gang activity from people in the league. It's just so ironic that in 2025, when, you don't necessarily come from that culture, I don't know what has indoctrinated Ja Morant to be so heavily influenced and desiring to be so tough with guns. It doesn't make sense. Derrick Rose from the south side of Chicago. And, you made the comparison earlier talking about who they are on the court, but away from the court, Derrick Rose really comes from an environment that it's extremely hard to make it up out of. And the way that it took him a while to maybe learn his footing in the league. He was a different guy, but at a point he understood, like, oh, I'm not just like Derrick Rose from the hood. I'm D Rose, superstar basketball player, MVP. And at this point, it doesn't feel like Ja Morant has a desire to be a guy that brands can attach themselves to in a real meaningful way. He's a risk. And it's just so ridiculous because he's going to lose out on so much money. And, assuming that he lives a long life, it's going to be a point in which he looks back and reflects and be like, that was dumb as hell. Because everybody has that. I have that feeling sometimes. So,
yeah. No, this whole thing is crazy. I just watched a documentary on Noah Scurry, who allegedly killed Gilly the Kid's son. And I don't know if you've heard about him in Philly, but he was a top basketball player, top scorer at his school, one of the top players in the state. And you out here killing people.
Academic honor roll as well.
Right. Academic honor roll at the school. You did things throughout the community. You playing basketball, getting your homework assignments, rapping, and all at the same time.
Let me ask you.
I don't understand.
Well, and we've seen this with Tony Gonzalez. Let me ask you, like honestly, what do you feel like?
Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez.
Excuse me, my fault. Not Tony Gonzalez. My bad.
I was like, wait a minute. I thought he was not.
I meant Aaron Hernandez. Okay. That was low key a little racist. I ain't gonna lie. I'm sorry, y'all. Just because the last name was Hispanic don't mean I gotta call him the
And
same
Tony
person.
is
My
like
bad.
an angel. Like Tony
He
is
clean.
like
He clean.
he's
Tony
so
is not
clean.
guilty. Not guilty on all charges. I meant Aaron Hernandez. Y'all forgive me. I ain't grow up in the Hispanic community. But what do you what do you think it is though? Like, what do you think is the thing that Ja Morant has been indoctrinated by? If you had to guess.
I don't know. It just seems like it's just society. It's just social media. It's like, are you really living like that? Because it seems like he only be doing this type of stuff. Well, no, because the incident at his home was not broadcasted. But, you know, you're at the club, you're on live, and it's like, oh, let me just. It just seems like that's, and we've had conversations about this, Rodney, on this show where we talked about like a Mikey Williams, for example. Like, why are y'all wanting to live lives that some people are trying to get out of?
I would love to look into their Spotify or Apple end of year playlists, and I would love
And
to
how
see
much
what
NBA YoungBoy.
I would not. I ain't gonna put no name on it. I just would love to
Okay.
see what they listen to. I have a sneaking suspicion that sometimes the music that cats be listening to really has the ability to inspire abhorrent behavior.
It's YoungBoy.
Anyway, y'all let us know your thoughts on Ja Morant once again using finger guns to let the world know that he is a tough guy. Do you think that he should be done with this behavior? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section.